Hello and welcome to the Luv Doc podcast with hosts Waldo Wachewski and Ophelia Bruschi.
Today we are taking a scalpel to the emotional minefield, that is, the amicable X. Specifically, we're analyzing this phenomenal advice column from the Luv Doc.
Right.
And it's all about whether two friendly exes can, maintain some occasional sexual intimacy without just completely detonating their connection.
And it's not just a classic scenario. The reader, who calls themselves friendly sex acts, gave us the kind of context that, columnists just dream of.
Totally.
So our mission today is really to unpack the Luv Doc's analysis, which is true to form, this chaotic but weirdly insightful mix of statistical impossibility, historical disaster, and then, surprisingly, some really pragmatic advice.
And the setup is just so crucial here. It defines all the stakes. So the relationship was friendly, the breakup was clean, and the ex proposes, the occasional hookup.
Standard enough so far.
But here it is. Here's the magnificent detail that just elevates everything. The reader revealed that this very Luv Doc column was a deep topic of discussion on their third date.
You can't make this stuff up.
Exactly. They aren't just exes. They're like co-conspirators in a shared, really niche fandom.
Which means the Luv Doc immediately ignores the reader's actual question about sex.
Right.
And pivots to what they see as the real miracle of the situation, the statistical improbability of two fans of their work ever meeting, let alone finding one another attractive.
Yes. And that whole statistical theater becomes the foundation for the Luv Doc's entire argument.
It really does.
So the Luv Doc's initial reaction is to just completely reject the idea that this relationship should have ended in the first place, based purely on this shared niche interest. The Luv Doc starts with the numbers, and the numbers are dark.
They are. They estimate the total global readership probably, tops out at 4 or 5?
And that's not even the best part.
No, and then they immediately add the caveat that at least 2 of those are serving long sentences in correctional institutions. It's just this immediate, self-deprecating, and very specific brand of humor that sets the whole tone.
And then the Luv Doc seriously wonders if these two might be blood relatives, just to complete this picture of statistical doom.
Right.
But beneath all the jokes, the point the Luv Doc is driving at is actually pretty profound. The statistical alignment you'd need to find someone who shares your most absurd interests and is willing to smash is, practically an act of God.
And that's where we get that fantastic, slightly hyperbolic inset quote defining the relationship.
The soulmate quote.
Exactly. From a purely statistical perspective, if you manage to find another person who is into the Luv Doc and is also willing to smash, I think you got to call that a soulmate.
Or, and this is the alternative the Luv Doc suggests, a sociopath.
Right, a sociopath. But the binary is clear. This is either fate or it's a terrible idea. And if it's fate, it's the kind of fate that usually ends in, tragedy.
To really drive home the gravity of this, the Luv Doc starts listing the relationships this pairing should be compared to. And this is where we learn exactly what kind of soulmates we're dealing with.
Oh, it's a spectacular list of historical and modern chaos.
It really is. Mark Antony and Cleopatra, Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera.
Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen.
Sid and Nancy. And our contemporary tragic pairing, Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly MGK.
And what's crucial here is not just the list itself, but the unifying theme, right? These are all these high-intensity, passionate, deeply intertwined relationships that, as the Luv Doc notes, went the distance, even if the distance was a 40-yard dash.
If you're linking up with your ex and the Luv Doc is comparing your dynamic to Sid and Nancy, you really need to pay attention.
For sure.
And the Luv Doc does acknowledge that for MGK and Megan Fox, the jury is still out, but the implication is so clear. A fated, intense statistical match like this generally results in extreme, unstable drama. You don't get a quiet suburban life. You get passion and a lot of emotional wreckage.
So the Luv Doc uses this whole statistical setup to establish these incredibly high stakes before ever addressing the low-stakes request. The Luv Doc is basically saying, look, if you are soulmates, you never should have broken up, and hooking up now is going to be disastrously intense. But if you are not soulmates, then, okay, we can proceed to the practical advice.
So we finally transition. The Luv Doc is forced to suspend disbelief and accept that, okay, maybe the reader and the ex really are just friends who broke up amicably.
Assuming they aren't Frida and Diego reincarnated.
Exactly. Assuming that the initial advice is surprisingly permissive, it's just, I say go for it. It's the green light.
And the rationale is so practical. It speaks to that comfort of familiarity. The Luv Doc highlights their shared history, noting they are well studied on the anatomical terrain.
Yeah.
There's a massive appeal in getting some of that familiar, especially when you look at what the alternative is.
But that green light immediately starts flashing yellow. This is where the Luv Doc brings in that crucial distinction between concept and practice. It seems doable in concept, like this perfect, convenient arrangement.
But in practice,
It's a whole nother deal. The
Holy
safety's only
crap.
skin deep.
You're psychotically obsessed with the Luv Doc, but can't think of a flashy gauche way to share your obsession with the world? Stop thinking and make a beeline for the Luv Doc's home sweet home on the interwebs, thepleasurecraft.com, where you can find a veritable treasure trove of sick merch that will make even your coolest friends super gel. Honestly, I don't know why you didn't already think of this yourself, but you're welcome. Have fun on the Pleasure Craft. It was made just for you. Let me spell it out for you one more time. www.thepleasurecraft.com.
and that perceived low risk only makes sense when you contrast it with the genuine chaos the Luv Doc suggests they'd face diving back into dating apps.
And the Luv Doc is so thorough in listing those alternatives.
Mm.
They mention Grindr, Tinder, Bumble, or, and I think this is a fantastic detail, let's keep it 100, silver singles.
Right. The idea is that the alternative to the X is this exhausting, often frustrating search for another Luv Doc fan willing to do the type of depraved shit I can't even talk about in this column.
It puts it in perspective.
Exactly. The X offers the sweet same, an immediate, comfortable, known quantity. They save you from the emotional labor and, let's be honest, occasional horror of the current dating landscape.
But the Luv Doc argues that this very comfort, this sweet same, is exactly where the emotional risk is hiding. It's not about avoiding awkward first dates. It's about navigating the emotional residue of the breakup.
And that leads us directly into the two major emotional risks the Luv Doc identifies, which are, the real anger of this whole analysis. The first risk is all about protecting an intimacy that already exists conceptually, even before sex.
Yeah, the exes already share so many dirty little secrets like their Luv Doc fetish, shared jokes, shared history. They're already fundamentally connected.
For sure.
So the Luv Doc argues that if you then layer ongoing physical intimacy onto that, there's going to be this inevitable tendency to want to protect that intimacy. Even if you agree to keep it casual, there's this unspoken contract that what you're sharing is special.
And the challenge is that intimacy, whether it's conceptual or physical, just creates vulnerability.
Yeah.
And once you start protecting something special that you only share with one person, the introduction of a third party, a new romantic interest for either of them, it just feels like a threat, even if you told yourself you were ready for it.
Which brings us to risk number 2. And this, I think, is the core psychological insight of the entire column. The fear of being deemed unsatisfactory.
Oh, it's so key.
This isn't just simple jealousy. It's a deeper, more personal insecurity.
It absolutely is. The Luv Doc outlines the specific trigger. If the hookup is ongoing and one ex starts dating or smashing someone else, the other ex is probably going to feel a little hurt that your smashing was unsatisfactory.
Okay, let's spend some real time on that.
Yeah.
Why is unsatisfactory the key word here? It suggests that the casual sex wasn't just a fun physical thing. It was, maybe subconsciously, a way of maintaining a certain status. The status of being desirable enough to satisfy their ex.
It's a brutal mechanism. When you hook up with an ex, you're implicitly confirming to each other that what you had, at least physically, was good enough to return to.
Right.
The moment one of them seeks that same intimacy elsewhere, they are sending a message back to the other ex that says, what we share is not fully meeting my needs.
And that message just hits differently than if they were, say, two random people from a dating app. The shared history, that conceptual intimacy, it means the comparison is so direct and personal. It's not just, oh, I found someone I like better. It's, I found someone else because what we had was structurally insufficient.
Yes, exactly.
And this hurt happens, as the Luv Doc points out, even though the whole arrangement was explicitly supposed to be super chill.
It completely undermines the chill factor. The Luv Doc is pretty honest about it, admitting they're bringing some of their own, common insecurities to the table. But the observation holds true. The biggest emotional blow isn't, I wish we were back together. It's, I feel rejected and insufficient because you found satisfaction with someone new after we just shared that deep familiarity.
And this really synthesizes the overarching principle the Luv Doc is trying to impart. The general danger is that whenever two people share something that is uniquely special, whether it's a niche fandom and sex or just deep history, the potential loss or dilution of that specialness will always engender feelings of hurt and betrayal.
It's the exclusivity of the bond that creates the risk. You're trying to treat a relationship that was built on historical exclusivity as if it were some brand new, emotionally sterile transaction. And the Luv Doc suggests history always wins that battle.
Now, the Luv Doc is careful. They don't condemn the practice outright. They do acknowledge that it doesn't always turn out badly.
Right, but that immediately leads to the Luv Doc's caveat, which just grounds the whole analysis. Historically, at least, that's how it usually turns out. We are operating on really low odds of emotional success here.
It's a heavy warning, really. It's about the persistence of human emotion, delivered through this lens of romantic chaos and statistical humor.
The undeniable appeal of that familiarity, the comfort of that well-studied terrain, that's real. But the emotional pain when that special shared terrain is later deemed unsatisfactory or is replaced by someone new is, well, historically, the most likely outcome.
So we circle back to the reader, friendly sex X, after they've received this whole barrage of statistical doom and emotional reality checks. What's the final takeaway? The Luv Doc actually gives the reader the power back.
It's a pragmatic and, I think, respectful conclusion. The Luv Doc says, you know you way better than I know you, meaning the reader is ultimately the only one equipped to make that final call on their own emotional durability.
So it's not a hard no.
Not at all. The Luv Doc isn't fundamentally against the idea, provided both parties are two consenting niche fandom fans who are just getting some familiar.
It's a calculation of risk then. You have to balance the high reward of immediate, comfortable intimacy against the statistical probability of this profound, personalized hurt when the arrangement inevitably breaks down.
And it all seems to hinge on whether they can truly manage those unspoken expectations around satisfaction and necessity.
And that leads us to our final thought for you to carry with you today. Based on the Luv Doc's very specific analysis, that the highest risk isn't simple jealousy, but the profound hurt felt when shared intimacy is deemed unsatisfactory enough to warrant replacement. What does that suggest about the unspoken expectation of satisfaction and emotional depth that's present in any casual relationship? Are we ever truly super chill when we risk opening ourselves up to emotional comparison, even with a brand new stranger from Tinder? Ponder the baggage of expectation that we carry into what we label as no-strings connections.
Something to ponder deeply.
To read the column that spawned this podcast, go to austinchronicle.com/columns/the Luv Doc. There are probably worse things to do with your time, right?